Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the first official podcast episode of Nerd Talk, the weekly podcast show where we discuss all things nerdy of the week, including movies, games, shows, comics, manga, etc. To start off, I'm Nick,
I'm Gavin.
and we are going to start off today by just talking pretty much everything that's gone on this last week, including today, which was ShangChi. Marvel dropped a ShangChi trailer as well as some some stills of the movie. Um, how do we feel about this? How do we feel about this, Gav?
Well, when I first heard they were making a Shang-Chi movie, I wasn't very enthusiastic, but after watching the trailer, I do think it's going to be at least pretty good. I mean, it looks good, like environment-wise.
Mhm.
Um, it looks like a very beautifully shot movie.
Yeah, that's what I was
And
thinking when I first saw. Was like it reminded me of like kind of like in terms of scenery and colors, it reminded me a lot of Black Panther. Because
yeah,
Black Panther
for
was very
sure.
vibrant and stuff like that, and like when it comes to Shang Chi, like it's very vibrant, but at the same time it's very, I guess like you know dull. I don't know if that makes sense. Like it's both at the same time, which is a really cool
hmm
aesthetic. Um, who's all in this movie? Do we like know actually?
Um, Obviously, Shang-Chi,
Hmm.
there's the Mandarin. Um,
He is
that's all
confirmed.
I'm
He's
aware of.
confirmed to be in this movie, right? The Mandarin,
Yes,
because the
yes.
Mandarin was in Iron Man 3 as well, but the fake Mandarin, and you know, that didn't really play off too well in a lot of people's eyes.
Yeah, Kevin Feige confirmed at when they announced Phase 4 that the real Mandarin was going to be in this film.
Okay, cool. I know that Ben Kingsley actually himself is going to be in the movie. The guy who played the fake Mandarin in Iron Man 3.
Mm.
Phenomenal actor. I love Ben Kingsley's work. But besides that, we got a whole different list of cast. I apologize if I pronounce any of the names wrong. We have Simu Liu as Shang-Chi himself. And I'm looking just at the main like the good guy and the bad guy, and then we have Tony Lang Chiu Wai. I hope I pronounced that right. If I don't, I apologize. As the Mandarin himself. So what do you think? What are your thoughts of the first trailer, Gav? Because I'll go into mine in a minute. I don't know how to really, I guess, feel for this movie.
I mean, it's for starters, it's not the type of movie that I'd go in seeing and be excited for.
Mm.
Um, I mean, I kind of get some Mortal Kombat vibes, but I was never too big into Mortal Kombat.
Right. I feel like this is gonna
Um,
be like the PG-13 Mortal Kombat movie.
exactly.
Which I don't
Um,
know is like I don't know how I feel about that because like I will be honest, I never really was into the Shang-Chi comic book series growing up. I was more into like the main like I guess the Marvel kind of mascots, I guess, which are like Spider-Man, the Avengers,
mhm.
and all that. So for me, this is kind of it's either gonna be a hit and perfect or a hit and miss. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it might be good. I think it has potential, but I am not going to be like the first in line to see it.
Right. I might definitely be one of the first people in line to see it, only to just get my thoughts about it in and,
Mm.
see where I go from there. It's Shang-Chi and the Legend of Ten Rings is set to debut on September 3rd of this year, 2021. And, that's pretty much our little thoughts about it. Let us know if you're watching this on YouTube or on Twitch or wherever we're actually submitting this podcast at. Let us know in the comments down below what your guys' thoughts on Shang-Chi, the Legend of Ten Rings is. Personally, I'm iffy about it. I'm excited about it, but at the same time, I'm not hedging my bets. I'm gonna stay neutral on Shang Chi. You got any last minute thoughts, Kev?
No, I'm right there with you
Yeah.
completely.
So, the next thing that we're gonna actually discuss is a little bit more of a longer discussion in terms of like what's going on, and that is Alfred Molina, um, in talks on Spider-Man 3. Gav, can you explain what's going on there?
Yes. So Alfred Molina just had a interview with the Vanity magazine, and they, of course, asked about Spider-Man 3, and we've been hearing a bunch of stuff about him being involved in the film as returning as Doc Ock, and he had a conversation with John Watts, the director, and he basically confirmed that it's a multiverse film, and
Yeah, so
they brought up.
he said
Go ahead.
that he said that this Doc Ock that he's portraying is the same Doc Ock that fell in the river at the end of
Mm,
Spider-Man 2.
mm.
So how does that work?
That's a bit confusing because John Watts even said in this universe no one really dies, but I also feel like that takes away from Spider-Man 2,
Mm.
like the whole sacrifice of him being the hero in the end.
Right, the redemption arc. That's what I was thinking too. Is like, the whole movie of Spider-Man 2 was about Doc Ock going from good to bad and then back to good. And
Mm,
the redemption arc behind that was that he realized his mistake, he realized his wrongdoing, and self-sacrificed himself to save not only Peter and Mary Jane, but all of New York.
exactly.
And so that begs the question, how is he going to portray a villain again in this film as the same Doc Ock? I have a few theories about it, but, like I said, they're all theories. You can take a grain of salt. Um, God, do you have any theories about how they're going to do this?
Um, I'm not exactly sure. I think it's gonna have to involve Doctor Strange somehow,
Mm.
and the title No Way Home. I feel like it's gonna be Peter going through the multiverse and can't get his way back home or something. Because it only makes sense with all the rumors going around.
Right.
Um,
Because, like, you got to think back to how the marketing for the original two Spider-Man films were introduced. So Spider-Man Homecoming, obviously the debut of Spider-Man in the MCU, his first solo outing. That was
mm,
very, on the nose kind of thing. Not only that, but there was a homecoming dance in the film, so it obviously partook to that whole segment. Spider-Man Far From Home, which introduced Spider-Man to pretty much the outer world of, outside of New York. His final fight was in London. So,
mm,
that was pretty much partaken. A lot of people were thinking he was going to go to space again, which obviously that was kind of ridiculous. But,
yeah.
they sent him off to London, which made him far from home. And now No Way Home, what are your theories about the title? Because the title has to be included within the movie in some premise.
Yeah, I think it's gonna involve the multiverse, and he's gonna be in a different dimension or something like that, and that's how they're gonna bring in Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. However, I am a little bit worried about that, and I feel like they're gonna try and play the joke again, like they did with Quicksilver in WandaVision,
Yeah,
from the
so
Fox
real
universe.
quick, before we actually mention any more about WandaVision, this is going to contain spoilers for everything MCU. So if you have not caught up on MCU canon, please stop listening to the podcast because we are going to dive in. We talk spoilers on this show. So just aforementioned. But yeah, continue, Gav. Go ahead with your WandaVision.
Yeah, so they went and played the joke and made him Ralph Boner, which a lot of people weren't very happy about
That
because why bring
was.
in a Fox character that everyone's excited because Marvel or yeah Marvel Disney they bought Fox. And so we were like, oh, they're going to connect the universes and it's finally going to come together and we're going to see the X-Men. But that, of course, didn't happen. And so now I'm worried that Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield will be in the movie. However, they won't be their versions of Spider-Man at all.
They're just going to be
It's
like
just
side
they're going to play it
characters.
as a joke. Yeah.
Yeah, see, I don't think they're going to do that. I think obviously the thought is in my mind, they could theoretically do that, but for them to pull that on the audience, not twice, but three times in a row. Think about it, because Quicksilver and then Toby and then Andrew,
Mm,
they would lose so many people's respects over their characters because when every single person in the world who watched WandaVision when it came out and saw Evan Peters Quicksilver, we immediately all thought the same exact thing. Oh my god, they're actually merging Fox's X-Men with Marvel's, the MCU all together. Which branched out a whole number of ideas like Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, Deadpool, James McAvoy and Patrick Stewart's Charles Xavier. Like that branched out so many creative ideas that they could have gone with, that they still technically can go with. Maybe I don't think they will, but maybe in the future they could go with. But for the time being, they just took Evan Peters and made him a joke,
hmm
which was so disappointing in so many people's eyes, including me and my father, because me and my father watched WandaVision together. And my dad was a huge fan of the Fox X-Men films. And
Mm.
so to see what they did with Evan Peters Quicksilver, it's safe to say for the least that Marvel really disappointed my father in that moment.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm right there with you.
Yeah. Um, Getting also in Spider-Man 3 territory, we also have the confirmation and reports that Charlie Cox is in the film. He is like really in the film. Like I'm really really excited. I don't think he will be portraying Daredevil, unfortunately, but I do believe that he will be portraying Matt Murdock,
Mm.
which I'm just excited to see because if Marvel is willing to bring back Charlie Cox, who was such a phenomenal version of the Matt Murdock Daredevil character, then they're willing
Hmm.
to maybe revive his show or give him a
Yeah.
movie or something like that. Like that idea is in the back of my mind because it just makes so much sense for them to do something like that.
Hmm.
Um, what are your thoughts about that, guy? What are your thoughts about Charlie Cox coming back for Spider-Man 3?
I mean, I think it's a good idea. I think it would be the best idea to not have him portray Daredevil yet, of course, because that would just, I feel like that would take away from everything else going on.
Mm,
Um, and I think that should be saved for a later time. So I think having him in the film as his character, Matt Murdock, I think that is good for setting up future projects. And I
right.
think it helps contain the Spider-Man story instead of making it just branch out into everything else.
Right, and I am looking at the actual casting list on Google for Spider-Man No Way Home, and I didn't actually even realize this, but not only is Alfred Molina, Tobey Maguire, and Charlie Cox and Benedict Cumberbatch all listed on the casting, but so is Jamie Foxx's Electro, Emma
Hmm.
Stone, Willem Dafoe, Kirsten Dunst, Dane DeHaan, who played the Green Goblin, and Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, um, Reese Ifans, who played the Lizard in that.
Mm.
They're all on the casting list. So either Google is screwing up and comparing other Spider-Man films to this one, or we're going to be seeing a lot more characters than we thought.
That would be cool. I mean, I know Google's done this before. Like they listed James Spader as Ultron in for WandaVision, and then they had Hugh Jackman for Endgame. So it could very well just be them messing up and putting in rumored stuff because I know there have been rumors of Willem Dafoe being spotted on set. There's been rumors of Emma Stone coming back.
Mm.
Jamie Foxx he basically confirmed it on Instagram, but then he deleted the post.
I think, yeah, he was kind of forced to. Tobey Maguire's Spanish dub actor confirmed his part on Spider-Man Far From Home, saying that he was actually, having to do voiceovers for the Spanish version of Spider-Man Far From No Way Home. So
Hmm.
it only makes sense that Tobey Maguire is pretty much confirmed to be in this film.
Yeah.
Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man was spotted on some of the merchandise given to the cast and crew of the film. So that pretty
Yes.
much confirms he's in the film. So we have the Spider-Man in the film, and I'm pretty positive that they're going to be portraying their Spider-Man characters. So that just kind of confirms that theory. But in terms of like other characters, like Kirsten Dunst, Emma Stone, Willem Dafoe, Dane DeHaan, and Rhys Ifans, what are your thoughts about that? What are your thoughts about us actually seeing those guys back on the big screen as both love and villains of Spider-Man?
Well, before I get into that, I just want to go back to the crew merch that you mentioned with Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man on there.
Right?
If you looked at the bottom corner, the words that were written were in the old Spider-Man font from the Raimi trilogy.
Oh no, crap! I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, so that was also something that people started pointing out, and I wanted to bring that in too. But so with all the people coming back, because I obviously there's Jamie Foxx and Alfred Molina, and there's the rumors of Willem Dafoe, and I think if we got just those, I think that would be great. And just seeing everyone else, I think that would be cool. But I just don't know how some of that would happen. Of course, John Watts said in this universe, no one really dies. So it's just kind of interesting to see what the timeline is going to be, or if it's going to be like those same actors from the other movies, but like a different dimension, but still involving them.
Right.
Because I don't know how else, like, because Willem Dafoe's Norman Osborn's obviously dead.
Mm.
Alfred Molina was supposed to be dead. Um,
Jamie Foxx was poofed.
yeah,
He was poofed away.
yeah. I read rumors a bit back that uh, Thomas Hayden Church, I think that's his name, who played Sandman in Spider-Man 3,
Yeah.
that he's in the movie too.
That would be
So I think
interesting. I had a theory that it just popped into my head for some reason. I don't know why it just popped into my head, but I started thinking about it because of this casting list that's on Google. Willem Dafoe is rumored to be in the film, and so is Dane DeHaan. Okay, both
mm,
who played the Green Goblin in their respective Spider-Man films. My theory, and it doesn't make much sense, so just take it with a grain of salt. My theory, for some reason, it just came to my head. Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin lost his Harry, and Dane
mhm.
DeHaan's Harry lost Norman. So I'm thinking there's quite possibly, if Dane DeHaan and Willem Dafoe are in this movie, there could be a reunion of sorts with one universe's Harry meeting one other universe's Norman. And if
Mm.
that's the case, that would be an interesting thing to see because those are two completely different characters in their respective universes who, in a way are connected to each other. So what are you thinking about that, Gav? What do you think about the possibility of that?
I think it would be cool. I mean, I am a little worried that we're all going to get let down and none of this is going to be true, and we're not
Right.
going to see any of these, and that would really suck because I mean, I grew up with Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, and so obviously I have a soft spot and he's my favorite, and then I do also love Andrew Garfield's, and I know he gets a lot of hate, um, but I do still love those films. So I think seeing all this stuff, and if all that does happen to be true, I think that's going to be just a home run
Mm,
for Marvel. Like that's something that we all want to see, like a real live action Spider-Verse film with all of them coming back. So I think that's something that we should really look forward to, and hopefully we won't get let down by.
right. And I've been hearing, I don't know if you've been hearing this too, Gavin, but I've been hearing like people's comparing this new Spider-Man film that's coming out to Into the Spider-Verse and saying that Marvel is copying Sony's take on a Spider-Man film. And I just want to state for the record, Spider-Verse, the idea of the Spider-Verse is not a new thing. It's not a new
Yeah.
thing in the filming industry. It's not like some guy came up with the idea like, "Oh, we should bring all the Spider-Man together for a film. That'd be dope." No, like the Spider-Verse has been a thing since like what, 2010? 2011?
Yeah, there's been many comics about it too.
Yeah, it's been a comic book series for so long to the point of where actually they've even included different Spider-Man from areas of like these universes that we never thought possible. They brought in PS4 Spider-Man into Spider-Verse for Spider-Geddon or whatever it was called. So, for everybody saying that they are copying Into the Spider-Verse, I just want you to know that they are not copying Into the Spider-Verse by any degree whatsoever. Sure, if they want to put Miles in, that would be amazing. I highly doubt that we're going to see Miles in this film, but it would be amazing to get a live-action Miles Morales in the MCU, considering he is my favorite rendition of Spider-Man. So it would be amazing to see that, but I highly doubt that that's going to be the case. But
Mm.
I had to silence all the people who are saying that they're copying Into the Spider-Verse because those are two completely different ideas with just the same premise.
Yeah, and it's been done before too, like in TV shows like Ultimate Spider-Man, and then there's video games like Shattered Dimensions and Edge of Time, where
Exactly.
they intertwine the whole Spider-Verse idea. So it's happened before into the
They
Spider-Verse.
intertwine the concept of Spider-Man meeting each other because in Shattered Dimensions and Edge of Time, those two games, Shattered Dimension you had to play as four different Spider-Man, while in Edge of Time you had to play as only two. Which, by the
Hmm.
way, fun fact: Spider-Man Edge of Time is my second favorite Spider-Man game of all time. I love that game.
Really,
I love
really,
that game. That game.
wow.
You gotta think that game's story was so phenomenally put together. It was
Mm.
perfect.
I prefer Shattered Dimensions over Edge of Time.
I didn't prefer Shattered Dimensions personally because it was so like I guess I felt like it was so randomized, in terms of like, the story. You had to really really follow along to catch the story of that. Um
Mm.
a Spider-Man game that, because now we're kind of getting into game territory. A Spider-Man game that's so underlooked in my opinion, at least, to say the least, is what's it called? Spider-Man Web of Shadows. That
Oh my
game
God,
is
yes.
phenomenal. That game was
Oh yeah.
phenomenal. Okay, the story of that game was one of the best Spider-Man stories I've ever played. I've ever seen. You know. because it's exactly what I want. It's almost exactly what I wanted Spider-Man 3, the movie, to be. But obviously they couldn't go to that extent because what they did in that movie or that game was ridiculous.
Mm.
But it's kind of the same premise of like Venom taking over New York and Spider-Man having to stop him. That's what I wanted from Spider-Man 3, but I digress because Spider-Man 3 is Spider-Man 3 and we got a stupid dance in the process. So, I have to just, I have to give the movie I have to give the movie credit where credit is due.
Yeah, and Web of Shadows is definitely my top 3, no doubt, for
Right.
Spider-Man games.
Right. Now getting back to like Far From Home, like to end it off real quick. What are your final thoughts about the filming process and soon to be the release of Spider-Man Far From Home or No Way Home?
No Way Home. No Way Home.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's supposed to get released in December, I believe.
Yeah, December 17th.
However, I don't think that's going to happen. I think all these movies are going to get pushed back because they've been pushing back Black Widow, and that's a movie that not a lot of people are excited for, like as compared to Spider-Man No Way Home.
Right.
So I think it's just going to get pushed back and delayed until everything gets better with COVID, and so I don't think we're even going to see the movie until maybe over a year down the line.
Mm-mm. I don't know. I personally think that we might see the movie, like later on. I feel like we might see the movie kind of like, early January, maybe February. In terms of the Black Widow movie, like you said, I'm iffy about the movie. It's kind of hard to place my thoughts about Black Widow because if they had released the movie before Endgame, I would have been more excited to see it.
For sure.
But because I know it's a prequel story before her death in Avengers Endgame, it's very disappointing to say the least because it shows how much potential the character has for like her own solo outing, and this pretty much guarantees that this is just gonna be like a one-off thing, that she's not
Exactly.
getting a sequel, and it's really frustrating to say the least that I see that. And I've been hearing like rumors and reports coming out of the film that's saying that Yolinda from Spider-Man from Black Widow, like the new character that's actually a part of the Red Room project as well as Natasha, she might become the new Black Widow. And if that's the case, I'm gonna be severely disappointed because you can't replace Natasha Romanoff as Black Widow, in my opinion. So to say that they're setting this up for a replacement is, to say the least, a little bit upsetting. Getting that out of the way, our final thoughts about Spider-Man No Way Home, I want to talk about another MCU project real quick that I actually didn't write down. Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And what is going on with that series? Because the most recent episode came out a couple days ago. And, Gav, have you caught up on Falcon and the Winter Soldier?
I have not, but I know everything going on.
Okay, so like, the most recent episode on what's been happening and stuff, right?
Yes.
So, what are your thoughts about, what's going down?
I mean, it's interesting. I was never really excited for this show. I mean, I was more excited for WandaVision and Loki and all that.
Right.
So I didn't even watch the first episode of Falcon and Winter Soldier till last week. I haven't watched anything since then.
Are you just not a fan, or?
Yeah, I was never excited to get into it. And then I watched the first episode and I was like, okay, it is what it is. I'll continue another time, and I just haven't gotten back to it. But I have been seeing a bunch of stuff on Instagram, so it just kind of is right there.
Yeah, so I'm gonna spoil a little bit for you if you haven't don't know it yet. But basically the show is what I'm really watching it for is the development of Sam or Falcon as Captain America, because that is one of my favorite interpretations of Captain America in my comics. In my heart, Steve Rogers will always be Captain America, but Sam Wilson as Captain America was really freaking cool, because he mixed his character of Falcon with Captain America. He gave him wings, he had the shield, the suit, everything like that. So for me, this whole idea that he's rejecting the idea of being Captain America at first, but then it's coming to terms with he kind of has to do it. It's for the best interest of everyone that he does this. And the whole fight process with John Walker in the show is really phenomenal, because if you do not know that what's been going on in the show, John Walker recently murdered a man in the show,
Mhm.
absolutely
Mhm.
destroyed him in the middle of, you know, pretty much the public, and then was stripped of his Captain America privileges and ideals, so he's no longer Captain America in the eyes of America. But at the end of the episode, and at the end of the most recent episode, he is shown creating his new shield using his Medal of Honor to actually hold the shield together, as well as spray painting it red, white, and blue with like the white star in the middle.
Mhm.
Um, and that just by every degree pisses me off, uh, because John Walker, if you guys do not know, is a character named U.S. Agent in the comics, who is like a very psychotic, brutal version of Captain America. And for me, seeing his interpretation of Captain America once more and not changing it again, because that's what I was expecting to see when he was creating his shield, was he was going to change the persona of Captain America in his eyes. He was going to make the shield black instead of blue. He was going to strip some of the white off of it because white equals purity in the United States flag. So, yeah, I felt like that was going to happen, but instead he's just copying the shield once more. Who knows, maybe, like an explosion will happen and, like, dust or something will get on the shield, turning the shield black, and, like, he'll get the idea for it or something. Like, maybe that will happen. But in terms of, like, the actual premise of him becoming Captain America again, like, forging his own shield, I don't know how I feel about it because obviously no one wants John Walker as Captain America.
Yeah.
Mm. Getting on to the next topic real quick, just to keep going. We're going to talk a little bit about Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Yes.
And everything that's going on with that film, because that film was phenomenal in every aspect. Um, Gav, I know you've been waiting for this segment of the podcast, so go ahead and share your thoughts.
Well, first off, I am a huge Zack Snyder fan. I've seen every one of his films. Now I love every single one of them. I think he's a great director. I think he's a great visionary. And I remember walking out of Justice League in 2017, and I was like, this movie was just this is not a Snyder film, because you see his trademark slow mo shots and just like you can tell when you're seeing like Snyder's work.
Snyder's filmed
And
in very realistic situations with fantasy-like characters, versus
exactly,
with
and they have a
Joss Whedon, who makes everything a joke.
exactly, and there's just like a very distinct tone difference in the two Justice League films. And I've been an advocate for the Snyder Cut since day one. And on November 17th, 2019, which was when people really started tweeting about it, I was going crazy that day. I was tweeting all day. Release the Snyder Cut, and
Right.
I've
I
been an
joined you
advocate
on that
since
front.
then. Yeah, yeah. So I've been fighting for it for like along with everybody else for a long time, and now that it's finally here, it's amazing, and I was definitely not let down. I was very happy to finally see it and to see Zach's vision realized. Everyone that knows me knows that it's been all that I've really been talking about for a long time.
Right.
So I loved it. It was phenomenal.
Right. And to cut you off real quick, I just received word 30 minutes ago. Andy Muschietti, the director of the Flash film that's coming out with Ezra Miller, has just posted the first teaser for the Flash film on his Instagram, telling the world that he has started filming it. And it's a really cool animation of like the Flash logo as well as like the title of it. Um, how are you feeling about Ezra Miller's Flash going into the Flash movie?
I liked Ezra Miller's Flash. Oh my God, Ezra Miller's Flash. I know a lot of people don't like it and they don't like the way he runs. And of course, a lot of people are comparing him to Grant Gustin's Flash.
Right.
But I do really like Ezra's interpretation of him. I think it's going to be something that could be improved in the future when he has more time to shine, I guess. And it's not a team film and it's a solo film. I think he's going to do really good, and I think it's going to be a good film.
Right. And also, a lot of people are understanding a lot of people are understanding on the Flash and Ezra Miller's interpretation of the character is that he's still new. He's not experienced. He's not, he's powerful, but he's not like he doesn't know his strength level. He doesn't know how powerful he truly can be. Like you saw in Zack Snyder's Justice League, he bent the laws of space-time, and the only thing he knew about it was that he had a rule that he couldn't break
Mm.
about it. That was the only thing. He didn't know the consequences of space-time. He still doesn't. So going on off of Zack Snyder's Justice League into the Flash film, it's going to be really interesting to see his characterization going from that, because he is, we have kind of an idea of what the Flash film's going to be like. It's going to be, based off of, the Flashpoint storyline a little bit, loosely based off of that. So, we never know, with this, what's going to actually happen. How are you feeling about the casting reports that Michael Keaton might be coming back as Batman for the film?
Well, I think that's going to be cool. I mean, I think he's a great Batman. I think it's going to be cool because that's their version of the multiverse. That's how they're going to start it off with the Flash film.
Right.
And I think it would be cool to see him.
Do you
However,
think that they're going to include the CW universe in the Flash film?
I'm not exactly sure, but they did do that thing in Crisis on Infinite Earth where they had Grant Gustin and Ezra Miller's Flash meet.
Yeah, that's what I was like. That's why I brought that up, because they met each other. Not only that, but not many fans realize that Grant Gustin's Flash gave Ezra Miller's Flash the idea for the name Flash.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he was, because like you look at Ezra looked at Grant Gustin and was like, like, who are you? And then Grant Gustin's like, I'm the Flash. And then Ezra was like, the Flash? And then he was like, oh, the Flash, that's a good name. Like, so you can tell right there from the get-go that, like, the CW's universe of the Flash and Grant Gustin's characterization of Barry Allen has already put an effect on Ezra Miller's character.
Mm.
So, in a big way, because the Flash name is not something to easily come by, like, but, and like a lot of people, like you said, a lot of people are hating on the character, like on Ezra's. Oh, sorry, I'm yawning because I just woke up. A lot of people are hating on Ezra Miller's characterization of Barry Allen, but it's just like a lot of people hated on Grant Gustin's version of the character too for like 2 seasons. It wasn't until Zoom showed up and Grant Gustin really showed his potential as Barry Allen that everybody was like, oh, he can really pull this off. So what are your thoughts, ending the little Flash segment that I added, what are your final thoughts about it?
Well, I was never a big fan of the CW universe for DC.
Right.
I've seen most of the shows and they just weren't for me. So I have compared Ezra to Grant's Flash, and I do see why people prefer Grant's Flash to Ezra's. However, going into 2017 Justice League, that's the main place that they were comparing him, and of course they had him almost a whole entire different character. And the way they changed him up in Zack Snyder's Justice League, he's a more grounded and real character, I guess. Like he wasn't just played for jokes. He actually had a reason to be there and a real story.
Right.
So I definitely think it's got potential.
Yeah, no, I think the Flash film's got potential. I just am really excited to see it because the Flash is one of my favorite DC characters. So, I'm excited to see that film, and I'm excited to see what John Muschietti, I think that's his name, right? John Muschietti. Andy Muschietti, does with the film and the actual character of the Flash. Getting back to Justice League real quick. What are your thoughts about everything that we pretty much saw towards, because everything new that we saw was pretty much towards the middle and end of the film. So what did you like the most out of the film, and what did you like the least out of the film?
I'd say, the most, of course, like Steppenwolf's design, and I think he's actually a frightening character now, because in the 2017 one, it was just a joke,
Yeah.
There's like nothing to be. There's no stakes in that movie either, really. Like it wasn't really a big deal. But so
At least there were stakes. It's just you didn't notice them because they never got to them,
and you never really felt them.
Yeah.
So I like how in Zack Snyder's Justice League they they really built it up and showed that this could be the end of everything.
Yeah, like they actually failed for a brief moment of time.
Exactly.
You know, and that's where we get to like my favorite part of the actual movie itself, which was Barry Allen's like the real like power level of Barry Allen was shown at the end of that film, because like he stops time in the middle of the world literally dying. Like he reverses that, and like that just shows how powerful he truly can be. And that's my personal favorite scene out of Justice League.
Yeah. I mean, if I had to pick a favorite scene, I would either pick as when Superman shows up to the final battle,
Right.
and then like on from there until the end shot where it's them on the cooling tower. I also liked all the foreshadowing for what happened if they resurrected Superman with the mother box that Cyborg saw.
The Apocalypse timeline.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool, and I like how they really connected it with Batman versus Superman, unlike the 2017 film.
Right.
So I definitely like how they did that.
You know, for me, when it came to the whole Apocalypse timeline, I was very iffy about it at first, because I was like, you know, how are they going to really, you know, I guess, like, show what truly could happen? But they really nailed it out of the park in terms of what they were going to do for it, because you saw a storyline that we might never see, maybe, but it was an idea and a premise that I was really, like, excited about, because it's just like bad Superman is like one of the dopest concepts DC has ever put out. Okay, you're taking their characters, like their most powerful character, and putting him on the side of evil. Like that is, like that's why the Injustice series is one of my favorite comic book series ever put out, because it's just like he's not being forced to do it, he's not being corrupted, he's choosing to be bad, he's choosing to kill criminals, to do this out of revenge or avenging, you know, whatever the hell. Like, he is choosing to be this way. And that's why the Injustice series is, like, one of my favorites. Because it's not like, you know, it's not like he doesn't have a choice. Because he has more than enough choices to make in terms of how he wants to run the world. And he still chooses to be evil. So, what is your takeaway from the Apocalypse scenes from Zack Snyder's Justice League?
Well, I thought it was really cool, and I remember seeing Batman versus Superman for the first time, and I was like, oh, this is crazy. I wonder, you know, what's gonna happen, how this is gonna go from here, and what's gonna lead to it.
Right.
And I'm glad they finally touched on it and connected to it. And actually, on the social media Vero, I asked Zack Snyder on Christmas Day in 2019 if the Snyder Cut was going to touch on the Nightmare stuff, and he responded, and he said it's going to start to shed some light in it for all the Nightmare stuff. So I was pretty hyped since then.
Right.
So
since he noticed you.
Yeah, that was the coolest moment of my life, no doubt.
You know, I only have one really gripe about the Nightmare sequence in Justice League, and that was Jared Leto's Joker. Obviously it's one of those things where we need more light on it, because he's ultimately pretty much going to be the key to making Superman good again. But for the time being, I was more or less kind of thinking like, why is he here? Why is he even a part of this? Like, he doesn't necessarily have to be. I get it, he's a survivor and all, but, like, let's be real. Would the Joker survive a fight against Superman? Hell no. Like, so what is your takeaway about Jared Leto's Joker being in Justice League?
I mean, I thought it was cool. I mean, that's the first Ben Affleck Batman and Jared Leto Joker interaction that we've gotten.
Right. Yeah.
So I thought that was cool, and I liked his new look. And in Suicide Squad, of course, I wasn't a big fan, but in this film, it did make me grow on him. I liked the new look much more than what we got in Suicide Squad. And I understand why they did it. They were kind of, I know Zack wanted to have him in there and have him and Batman be, together on screen,
Right.
because that wasn't done in the DCEU yet. So I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good idea for doing that.
I personally just felt like Jared Leto's Joker was, I guess, kind of thrown in there to, show that Jared Leto had potential to play a good Joker. That the
Mm.
version that we saw him in Zack Snyder or in Suicide Squad wasn't really his potential.
Mm.
So, for me, it was very interesting. Oh my god. Third yawn in a row. We need to keep a counter. But it was very interesting for me to see his characterization. I keep saying that word, but it's very true. His version of the Joker really put to light because it showed what he was capable of doing.
Mm.
Is he my favorite? No, not for in a long shot. My favorite is still Mark Hamill as the Joker,
Yes. Yes.
followed right behind Heath Ledger and then Troy Baker and then Joaquin Phoenix.
Mm.
They all did phenomenal jobs. So is Jared Leto one of my favorites? No, but I definitely like him more now than I did back in Suicide Squad.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
Getting on to one of the last topics of today's episode, we're going to talk about Godzilla versus Kong.
Yes.
Because that was something that I was very excited about. I was so hyped for this movie. Um, Gav, I'll let you share your thoughts about it first because I got a lot of things I want to say. But go ahead and share your thoughts about Godzilla vs Kong.
I enjoyed it. I remember I saw the first Godzilla in 2014 in theaters in IMAX 3D, and that blew me away. So that was fantastic. And so since then, I've been following the MonsterVerse. I've been watching all of them. I wasn't a big fan of King of the Monsters. I don't
Right.
really know why. But then Godzilla vs Kong, I did really enjoy. Um, I thought what they did with it was good. I thought it could have been a little longer. I'm not a, but I mean I understand that you can't really have just 2 hours, more than 2 hours of monsters fighting the entire time.
Mm.
Um, but I enjoyed it. I wasn't let down by it.
Even though that's what everybody is wanting them to do is fucking make a
Yeah,
whole 2 hour movie of just monsters beating the shit out of each other.
yeah.
No, personally, I was me and my father really enjoyed Godzilla King of the Monsters. That was my dad's personal favorite Godzilla film actually ever put to screen. And take it, my dad's been around since 1967. He's seen a bunch of them. Um, so for him to say that King of the Monsters is his favorite, that's saying a lot. Um, Getting to Godzilla vs Kong, I was really blown away with this movie. I was really happy with it. I think it's actually the highest rated MonsterVerse movie out right now. Um,
Hmm.
Hang on, let me look this up real quick. I'm pretty sure that Godzilla vs Kong is the highest rated one. Yeah, it has a 75 on Rotten Tomatoes. Like that's I know that doesn't seem like a lot, but that is a lot for the MonsterVerse films, considering that the Godzilla King of the Monsters I think had like a 42
Yeah, got a
on
lower score.
yeah, it got a lower score, and that the original Godzilla didn't too well, like it didn't do all that great, but these films did okay for it, but then Godzilla vs Kong really stepped it up. I really did enjoy Mechagodzilla.
Hmm.
I kind of confirmed that like right at the beginning of this hype train that I was set upon, because when that first trailer came out, I immediately noticed the red lights on the kaiju that was destroying a city block, and I was like, "That's Godzilla. That's Mechagodzilla right there.
Hmm.
That is not our main boy. That is someone else." I
Yeah.
did get the theory wrong that I thought that they were actually making it seem like Godzilla was a bad guy, and had I thought they had that's
That's number
four.
four.
That's four. I thought that they were gonna do a thing where they were gonna make Godzilla actually be up to like look like the bad guy, and then the actual Godzilla, was gonna show up and blow off his fake skin and show the exoskeleton of Mechagodzilla. That's what I thought they were gonna do,
Yeah,
because
I thought that too.
that's kind of what they did in the original interpretation of Mechagodzilla. But it was the actual Godzilla. It was the actual Godzilla doing it, and Mechagodzilla just kind of showed up and whooped everyone's ass.
Hmm.
Um, but I was really happy with what they did with Kong. I was really happy with how they explored the Hollow Earth finally after like 4 films of talking about the Hollow Earth. They finally showed it.
Mm.
And I'm cool. I'm glad that they made him that Kong made. They made Kong like that's his home now, because that gives him the option to be King Kong.
Yeah.
Because it's like 2 different worlds now. Godzilla rules the above world while Kong rules the Hollow Earth. So it was very
Hmm.
interesting to say the least that they were able to do that. What are your thoughts about what they did with Kong in this film?
Yeah, I thought it was good. I preferred the first Godzilla over the Kong Skull Island movie.
Mm.
So I was hoping I was on Godzilla's side um for the film, but then seeing it and seeing what they did with Kong, and obviously he was like the good guy of the story.
Yeah, he was very much the good guy of the story. That's
Yeah,
not to say that Godzilla was a bad guy per se. It's just Godzilla was maintaining dominance over his land. But,
yeah,
Kong didn't seek out violence. Godzilla did.
yeah. And I really like that Hollow Earth scene. I like seeing um Kong down there and just seeing it because it was fitting for the movie and to have because the whole beginning of the movie he's trapped and they basically have him under control and Kong can't be free and rule his area because it was a fake area, it was a fake place,
Right.
and then getting him to the Hollow Earth and all of that, I thought it was good and smart that they did that.
Yeah, it was very interesting to say the least. And then, pretty much to wrap up Godzilla vs. Kong talk, it was a very interesting take on the characters and like how they battled it out and duked it out. I really liked how Kong used the axe
Hmm.
in this film. The film, like how he actually maintained a strong against in terms of Godzilla. Using the axe to his own advantage and stuff. And then at the end, when Godzilla actually helped him using that axe, that was very interesting to say the least.
Uh-huh.
Um, Wrapping up my thoughts about it, I felt that it was a really good addition to the MonsterVerse, and honestly, it could have been a closing out for the monsters because as of right now, as of April 19th, there isn't any planned sequels for the MonsterVerse. So
Hmm.
this may as well might have been actually it. Um,
Yeah,
what are your final thoughts about Godzilla vs Kong, Kevin?
I enjoyed it. I do hope that we're going to see more stuff later on. So I just guess time will tell, and we'll see what happens.
Right. Getting over to some video game talk real quick. We have a couple games that we want to talk about that are a little bit updating that I kind of am excited for. The first one I want to talk about is Resident Evil. With Resident
Yes.
Evil Village coming out very very soon, comes out May 7th.
Hmm.
Which it looks. I'm so excited for this game. Gav, what are you thinking about Resident Evil Village?
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of the Resident Evil games. I just finished replaying Resident Evil 3, the remake.
Mm.
Um, and this is obviously a continuation of Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, and I'm very excited for it. I enjoyed Resident Evil 7. I think it's gonna be a good game. It's definitely one of the top 3 on my list for games coming out this year.
Right.
I'm really really excited to play it.
Yeah, so for me, Village had my interest peaked back when it was first introduced because I had no idea that it was gonna be a Resident Evil game. I thought
Hmm.
it kind of looked like a Wolfenstein game to me at
Yeah.
first. So when I found out it was a Resident Evil game, I was like, oh, okay, this is gonna be different, Because I know I'm gonna sound so old right now, but I'm so used to the Resident Evil games being zombie based games, and now
Hmm.
it's like not at all zombie based things anymore.
Which, yeah, I definitely prefer that, honestly.
I'm excited for the story that they're having in place for this film for this game, but I don't know how I feel about Resident Evil Village yet. I'm excited for it, but at the same time I don't know how I feel about it.
Mm, gotcha.
So what are your feelings about, how what they're doing with Resident Evil?
Well, I like how they're because after like it was like 4, 5, 6, they were like especially 5 and 6 they were like just they weren't scary games, they were just more shooters.
Right.
I wasn't a fan of that,
Hmm.
and I like how 7 went right back to the horror base of the game, and I like how 8's continuing that. So I'm excited to play it because I love horror games. they're definitely one of my favorite categories. So I'm very excited for it.
Right. Another one that I want to talk about a little bit, only because it was kind of delayed a little bit, was Gotham Knights.
Hmm.
What's going on there? Gotham Knights, I'm really, really excited about. I'm really excited to see what they're going to do with that. I don't know why exactly they pushed it back, considering I thought they said it was almost finished, but,
Hmm.
you know, they're pushing it back a little bit. If you don't know, Gotham Knights is, in my opinion, the sequel to Batman Arkham Knight.
Mm.
Because it just makes sense that they would release Batman Arkham Knight and then Gotham Knights would be the successor to that.
Hmm.
It just makes so. I gotta go on a rant for a second. It makes so much sense. Okay, why are they not making Gotham Knights the sequel to Arkham Knight? Why are they making Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League the sequel to Arkham Knight? Why?
Hmm.
You know, Gotham. All right, so to put it in perspective, all right, Arkham Knight came out in 2015. The game ended with Batman dying, quote unquote, and a new Batman taking its place in Gotham City. All the villains were pretty much down and out for the count and arrested, and Batman died. Gotham Knights takes place sometime in the future. Batman's dead, and it's up to surviving Bat family to stop and save Gotham City. You have a
Hmm.
criminal organization known as the Court of Owls, who was never introduced in the Batman Arkham games, being the
Hmm.
main center bad guy of Gotham Knights. Okay? The only difference that doesn't make much sense in terms of what they're doing for Gotham Knights compared to Arkham Knight is Red Hood, because he just became Red Hood at the end of that game and didn't look anything like what he looks like in this game. They could have easily just said that Nightwing just kept being Nightwing. They could have said that Batgirl was, using Wayne Tech. She was able to fix her paralysis. And they could have given the Robin mantle to Damian Wayne.
Mm.
They could have done that. That could have been such an easily good freaking successor to the Arkham franchise. But instead, the successor to the Arkham franchise is a Suicide Squad game where Deadshot has been recasted, whatever. King Shark is now in the game. Captain Boomerang is now in the game. Harley Quinn is a new character look again.
Hmm.
Superman is in this universe apparently, even though he was only teased in Arkham Knight.
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't know. I just
Yeah.
that's my feelings about Gotham Knights and Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League because it pisses me off. Um, Moving on from that, getting to the last game that I am so excited about. I actually did a reaction to this on my live stream when it first was announced. God of War Ragnarok.
Mm.
I am so pumped for this game. So if you guys do not know, God of War Ragnarok is the sequel to the 2018 success of God of War, and it's going to be taking place majorly during the time of Ragnarok in Nordic mythology, where all the gods of Nordic times die, and Kratos, I think, is going to be a part of that. So what are your thoughts about... Did you play the original God of War, Gavin?
I did, yes.
What are your thoughts going into God of War Ragnarok?
I think it's going to be cool. I enjoyed God of War. I thought it was one of the best games released on PS4.
Right?
Um, I think it's gonna be up there again. It's gonna be the best one of the best releases on PS5 that we're gonna get.
Mm.
Um, I'm very excited for it. I love God of War, and I think what they're gonna do with the whole Ragnarok storyline is gonna be really cool.
Yeah, 2018 just had a major lineup of good games.
Yeah.
You got to think, just three games right off the rip that came out in 2018. You had God of War, you had Marvel Spider-Man, and you had Red Dead Redemption 2.
Hmm.
Like, those are just three games that came out that year. Let alone
Yeah.
when that was back when Fortnite was still in its prime. Like, they had a bunch of good games that came out back then.
Yeah.
Um, to end the little video game segment real quick, I'm going to talk about a game that Gavin is super, super excited about, and that is Five Nights at Freddy's. Gavin, you know more about this than I do. Can you shed some light on what's going on with that?
Yes. So the game is called Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach. It's a brand new game. It's obviously it's different from the other Five Nights at Freddy's games because you just operate the cameras and do all that stuff in the other games. But this one, you play as a kid and you are roaming around what looks like this giant attraction place. I don't know what that would be called.
It said that it's a mall.
Yeah, it's like a mall theme park looking thing. It looks really cool. I'm a huge Five Nights at Freddy's fan. I'm super excited for it. It's supposed to come out sometime this year. I've been reading that it's early 2021. They've only said 2021 though, so I have no idea.
Right.
It's my most anticipated game.
This one?
There's Freddy. There's this new Gator something. I don't know the new characters' names that well.
Yes, I'm looking at them right now. So there's Freddy with like a blue makeup on his face, a new Chica that's white instead of yellow, a crocodile character, and then this new character Roxanne Wolf. Is one of them, and then there's like a Bugs Bunny looking motherfucker in the top corner.
Yeah.
All I know is I'm gonna probably shit my bricks when it comes to playing this game, because for all intents and purposes, I've never finished a Five Nights at Freddy's game except for the first one. I've only done the first one, never played the second one, said no to the third one, and then did not even look at the fourth one, because the fourth one, I saw one still of the fourth one, and it showed demonic looking Freddy, and I said, nah, not happening. Nope. I can watch horror movies, I cannot play horror games.
I've been playing the Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted on VR.
Right.
Oh, it's crazy. I want you to get a VR, and I want you to play it. It's so awesome.
No, don't say that, because now my comments on my YouTube and Twitch are just gonna be like, dude, get a VR and get scared the crap out of. That would be funny.
I would pay to watch that.
No, it would not be funny.
I will buy you an Oculus Quest or a Rift, I will make you play it.
You buy me an Oculus Quest or Rift, and I will do it. All right.
Deal. You have a deal.
Jesus Christ. We only got about 4 minutes left of today's podcast, so I kind of want to give a quick shout out. Well, not going to give a shout out yet. We are introducing a new idea, a new thing that we're going to be doing each week called Cosplayer of the Week, and we're using this episode to have you guys submit your looks and stuff for Cosplayer of the Week. It could be anything. It could be your favorite cosplay, whatever the hell it might be. Just submit it to our Instagram or our Twitter, and we will look at it all over them. Come soon. We are super excited to be doing this because, me and Gavin ourselves are cosplayers and we like doing that sort of thing. So we want to give some shout outs to those who also do cosplay who might not be, relatively known to everyone yet. So if you want to be on Cosplayer of the Week, please go submit your requests on our Instagram and our Twitter. That is at Nerd Podcast, whatever that may be on your social media platforms. So, yeah, Gav, do you have anything to say about Nerd Talk and the Cosplayer of the Week?
Well, this is going to be a weekly thing. We are going to be looking for specific cosplays, and so each week we're going to ask for a new cosplay, and then the next week we'll show the winner. And I just want to say thank you so much for joining and listening, and stay tuned for more. We are going to be doing this very, very awesomely, so please keep watching and listening.
Just stick around. We will be back for next week's episode. Thank you all so much for listening. I hope to see you guys then. But with all that being said, stay safe, stay nerdy. We'll see you guys later.